Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to this special edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. We're going to look at all things Dominaria, the hot cards, the cold cards. We are now 2 weeks into Standard with Dominaria cards, and after last weekend's Star City Games Open Baltimore and Standard Classic, we're getting a better idea of what this new Standard meta is going to look like, and of course the card values are already reflecting that. So we're going to dive in just a moment. Quickly before we get started though, just a really fast reminder, if you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to help support what we do here. Our Patreon page is down there. You're also going to find some product links to products on Amazon. If you make any purchases on Amazon, no matter what it is, we'll get a small percentage if you go through that link. Finally, Flipside Gaming still offering a promo code for our viewers. And hopefully you can save some cash while you support us at the same time. As always, thank you not only to the folks that look at those links, but to all of you. Thank you. Y'all make the channel what it is. So let's get into it. We'll begin with the top 10 Dominaria cards that have lost value this week. Coming in at number 10, Naban, Dean of Iteration, down 39 cents to $1.31. Now, this card hasn't done a whole lot in Standard or anything, and there are some Commander players, though, that might be interested in it. I mean, if you have a Wizard deck, maybe you bought the Inala deck, you're looking for some upgrades, this could be an interesting pickup that's very affordable. Number 9, Steel Leaf Champion, down 40 cents to $4.49. This is maybe a little surprising to me, because this card had an excellent week 1 and an even better week 2. It's down 40 cents. Granted, it is a rare. It's not a mythic. Some of the cards we're going to be looking at later are mythics, so even though packs are being opened in large quantities, you're going to have a little bit of a harder time finding the mythics than the rares. But this card looks good in like mono green vehicle decks, mono green stompy decks. It had a really strong week, so I do expect this to stabilize pretty soon. Number 8, Josu Lich Knight, down 41 cents to $1.25. Now, week 1 at the Star City Games Atlanta Open, that was a team event. The team coming in 25th place was playing a mono black deck with this card, another card we're going to see in just a few moments. But it was kind of an anomaly. You didn't see that deck around in a lot of places, at least in the big tournaments, and it didn't really put up a big result this week. Now, there are players out there still playing the deck, trying to tweak it, trying to make it work. It would be sweet if it could maybe put up a big result this week or the next week. If it doesn't, I don't think this card necessarily will never see Standard play. I think the power level is very strong here, and there could be a mono black deck that is successful, if not in this meta, in a future one, perhaps post-rotation. Number 7, Damping Sphere, down 52 cents to $2.79. Now, this card is seeing play, but it is an uncommon, so it's being opened in very high quantities right now. So the price is going down, but it is pretty impressive that it is an uncommon that is still worth $253-ish. Now, it is seeing a lot of modern sideboard play right now, as you could imagine. A little bit of legacy and vintage, too, from time to time, but modern is really absorbing this card very well. Number 6, Shalai, Voice of Plenty, down 71 cents to $4.83. Now, this card maybe did have a high price point coming into the release time, but this is another rare that has performed very well. I'm a little surprised it's going down as much as it is this week. You've seen this in a lot of Standard decks in week 1 and week 2. Maybe not in the same quantities as some of the other cards we're going to talk about today, but it is very consistent. I will give it that. You'll find this in historic builds, tokens, mid-range, aggro. It's kind of all over the place, like a lot of the white cards that are in the set, actually. So I do think this does stabilize relatively quickly. And as far as future potential for the card, I have seen some modern players trying to work this into both Elves and Counters Company recently. If that could work out, then the card could have a strong future. Number 5, Thran Temporal Gateway, down 72 cents to $1.97. This is another card that's been mostly a Commander-focused card, really good if you want to cheat some big stuff into play, and there are other cards in Commander that can do that, but this is a nice redundancy. However, I will say that I did see an Eldrazi Legacy deck running this, so who knows, maybe if that works out, this card could have some potential down the road. Number 4, Tishar Ancestror's Apostle, down 74 cents to $1.99. This is seeing some Standard play, some Azorius builds as well as some Legends builds like Abzan Legends. So this card I think will see a moderate level of play for now, but in the future, maybe even post-rotation, this card could potentially see more play. This is definitely one to keep an eye on. Number 3, Cabal Stronghold, down 78 cents to $2.02. This is the card I was alluding to earlier. It was part of that mono black deck from a couple weeks ago. We'll have to see if that deck can make a comeback within the next few weeks, maybe at the Pro Tour, who knows. If not, though, I do think at some point you do see a consistent mono black deck in the format. Maybe it is after rotation again. Number 2, Traxo Scourge of Krug, down 84 cents to $1.79. Now, this card is a little too inconsistent for Standard, that's why it's losing the value that it's losing. It does have good raw power behind it, though, for casual play, commander play, but in Standard, you want something a little more consistent. Even though it only costs 4, there's a lot of good 4-drops with strong abilities out there. And number 1, Mox Amber, down 381 to 21.99. Now, this card has gone down quite a bit. I mean, it's the coldest card right now from the set. However, it is seeing some play, and this is one I think to watch for the future. This is the type of card that people don't necessarily figure out what to do with it week 1 or week 2. It takes a little time for people to figure out how to make something like this consistent, but once they do, watch out, because there's a lot of raw power here that could cheat the curve on you. In Modern, it's already seen play in aggro decks, mono white aggro as well as Boros aggro. In Standard, Abzan Legends will run this and Paradoxical Storm, so there are people trying to make it work. We'll just kind of have to see where it goes. Alright, let's move on to the top 10 Dominaria cards that have gained value this week. Coming in at number 10, Sulphur Falls, of 4 cents to $4.99. Now 4 cents isn't a large increase, this probably could have been almost any card, but a lot of the set is stabilizing right now, so actually any increase is at least some indication of gameplay. And yes, this is seeing some gameplay. A lot of it's Modern, though. This is a card that was a Modern staple for a while in a number of mana bases. That hasn't changed. But in Standard, you're seeing Izzet players run this. There's some Izzet control builds out there. There's some Gift players that are still on Izzet that haven't moved to Mono Red. And as long as there's going to be Izzet decks or decks running these colors generally in Standard, guess what? This card will find a place to be played. Number 9, Siege Gang Commander, up 6 cents to 73 cents. Again, not a huge increase here, but a card that is seeing play mostly in the mono red gift decks. However, it's showing up in a few other places too here and there. Number 8, Seal Away, up 9 cents to $1.27. Okay, 9 cents doesn't sound like a lot, but when we're talking about an uncommon from a set that's being opened as much as Dominaria is, that is certainly saying something, and that something is Seal Away is being played everywhere right now in Standard. Basically, if you're playing white, you're probably running 3 or 4 of these in your deck easily. And this is showing up everywhere from control decks, aggro decks, historic decks, mid-range decks. It's all over the place right now. Number 7, Woodland Cemetery, up 10 cents to $4.35. Maybe the most welcome of the new dual lands of the Checkland variety to come in with Dominaria, just because this helps the Constrictor deck a lot. And Constrictor decks are still doing well. They're running this. You also find that sometimes the mono green vehicles or mono green Stompy, because they will at times run Scrap Heap Scrounger. And also, sometimes they'll throw a black removal spell or 2 in the sideboard, so this is good for that utility. Number 6, Goblin Chain Whirler, up 10 cents to $4.95. Another fantastic card that is at rare in this set. This one actually going up a little bit this week. Of course, it's in those mono red gift decks that we talked about. It's also in all sorts of aggro decks. Mono red, black red aggro. Basically, if you're trying to be aggressive and you have enough red in your deck, you're going to try to work this in. The card is amazing. Number 5, Benalish Marshall, up 13 cents to $2.79. Another rare on our list going up and another white card, so you're definitely going to notice that trend as we move forward. Dominaria has really pushed white in a big, big way. This card in particular is seeing a lot of play in decks like White Weenie, people trying to work this into vampire decks. But really where it's seen the most success so far are decks like Green-White Tokens and White-Black Vehicles. This is definitely a card to watch going forward too. Number 4, alright, we're in Mythic territory. Our top 4 cards are actually all Mythic, starting with Lyra, Dawnbringer. Up 81 cents to $33. This card is a powerhouse. Again, white is a very strong color in the meta, and this is a very powerful card. One of the reasons white is where it is right now. Control decks, aggro decks, vehicles decks, historic decks, mid-range decks, gift decks, you name it. So many decks finding places for this card. Basically, again, if you're running white, you're probably running this along with Seal Away. Number 3, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Up 82 cents to $38.73. This had a huge week last week. Teferi has had another amazing week in control builds, historic builds, and mid-range builds. Not to mention, I've seen a little bit of play out of control decks, at least trying to test it out in Modern, so that might be something to keep an eye on. Number 2, History of Benalia, up $4.02 to $24. Now, this one's a pretty big mover this week, along with our number 1 card. But here's another white card, another Mythic. I am concerned a little bit about the price of Standard going forward because there's so many Mythics that are performing well in multiple decks, having multiple copies. And this is a good example of that. I mean, you see this in tokens decks, historic decks, control builds, vehicles builds. Where it really stood out to me last week, though, was white-black aggro. That deck was very, very successful. Number 1. Was there any doubt? Karn Scion of Urza up 1242 this week to 55.59. Huge increase for the card, and it is seeing play everywhere. I mentioned some of the white cards are seeing play in multiple decks. Well, this is even worse because this doesn't require any color commitment. This is colorless. It's showing up everywhere, from mid-range builds, historic, stompy decks, vehicles decks, aggro decks. It just doesn't matter. All over the place in Standard. Not to mention the crossover appeal here. This is an awesome casual card for Commander, Cube, what have you. Oh, and by the way, there's some other competitive formats trying to run it too. Affinity and Modern, I've seen some people trying that out over the last week or two. Also in Legacy, this looked good in the Eldrazi decks. So I do think this does find homes outside of Standard, which is going to even further propel the value of this card. Now, I do think this sees a peak maybe in early June after the Pro Tour, during the Pro Tour weekend. Then maybe by the end of June, it could settle down closer to maybe $35. I feel like that's probably where it will sit for a while. However, just generally right now, this card is going to be incredibly hot, and it's definitely one to watch. Until more packs get open, and until the mad scramble for everyone to get all their copies is over, this card is going to be incredibly hot. Alright, that's our market watch for the week. Later in the week, I am going to try to do some Dominaria product opening, and then Saturday, of course, we'll do our full market watch where we look at everything else other than Dominaria. Until then, though, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.